Hey, Margie here. Are you ready to delve even deeper into our skin? Because our skin is so important. It's an organ of detoxification, as well as every single thing we put on our skin goes into our pores and can affect us. It could be a source of poisoning, toxicity. It's so important. So, we're going to delve deep today with our very special guest, Dr. Christine Schaffner. And Dr. Schaffner, after graduating from Fiore University as a naturopathic physician, she has worked to create a new kind of health journey, co-creating the world-renowned Sophia Health Institute with her mentor, Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt. And Dr. Christine has cultivated unique skills, advanced knowledge on uncommon treatment protocols like frequency and energy medicine, and work with very elite practitioners on treating chronic illnesses. And she strives to improve access, outcomes, and speed of recovery for her patients, wherever they may be on their health journey. But today, she's going to talk to us about skin, the largest organ in our body, and why she, with everything else she's doing, thought it was important to really start this amazing company to help end the huge level of toxins we're all exposed to in our everyday products and our practices. So this is full of great information. So stay tuned. And as well, one more thing I wanted to add. This talk was actually done for the happiness challenge that I had several months ago. And I got so many amazing positive remarks, and it was so helpful that I wanted to also share it with you, my podcast audience. So stay tuned. Welcome, Dr. Christine. I am just really thrilled to have you here as part of the Happiness Challenge because your work has done so many things for people all over. And I really believe what you're going to talk about today is going to be, it increases everyone's happiness. And our topic is the skin. And last time you were a guest on my podcast, we talked about heavy metals and bones. So this is a little different, but I really believe people don't realize how the skin can be an avenue to happiness as well as an avenue to disease. So I think it's such an important topic. So welcome, welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Margie. It's really, really fun to be here.
So let's just dig right in. I mean, here people travel to see you from all over the world, really for detoxing. And you see people where nobody else can figure out what's wrong with them. I mean, you see some really crazy cases and people that you really have to dig deep. But why do you feel that the skin is so, so important and that we really need to pay attention to the skin?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks, Margie. And this, we can take this conversation in so many different directions, but I think, I'd like to start with people understand that the skin is a route of elimination, right? So with, our previous conversations and a lot of our work, we look at how environmental toxicants can affect our health and how sweating via the skin can be a route of elimination for many of the things that we have seen to cause autoimmune illness and neurological diseases and cancer. So it's not only a preventative tool, but it's a therapeutic tool as well. But I also like to also share that the skin can be a healing tool because of our route of absorption. So we can actually use topicals via the skin to help heal and repair our body, as well as concentrate on moving what we call the lymphatic system. And so I'm happy to dive into all of these angles, but the skin is how we are interconnected and interface with our world. It's our exterior, and it also has so much as an entry and exit point to our interior world as well. So it's a really fascinating system, and there's so many angles we can take this conversation.
So why don't we start? Because everybody wants to feel good and look good. And so I've gotten so many times from people, oh, you know what? It doesn't matter. I love this. This makes my skin. This helps my wrinkles. This helps this and my happiness. That's what's so important. But why don't you tell us why some of the ingredients that are in, because people don't know, oftentimes they'll see a bottle and it will say natural, healthy, whatever. And they don't realize that it's full of toxins that can truly be harmful. And maybe it may make the wrinkle look better for the moment, but in the long haul, it's going to be doing way more damage to your skin and your happiness. And so why don't you sort of share maybe a little bit about that and what we need to, what are these toxins that are really the most damaging?
Absolutely. So, skincare has been a passion of mine, and educating people about skin health and skin ingredients has been a big passion of mine for many years. And I think the awareness, thankfully, Margie, has increased, really exponentially over the last decade. I've seen so much awareness, so many more products on the market. And I think what the consumers are finally realizing is that, how we think of organic food, right? So, organic food, most people understand that organic food is going to be healthier for them because it's free of genetically modified ingredients, free from herbicides and pesticides, and going to be a healthier quality in the long run. And so we want to apply that same idea to our skin, because our skin, again, is a route of absorption. Again, many people know that we use medications, they're patches and a lot of transdermal delivery systems to get a therapeutic action. So we know that what we put on our skin gets into our bloodstream and can have a medical effect. And so think about, if we are using, I haven't looked at these statistics for a while, so forgive me, but I think the average woman uses like 15 to 20 personal care products each day. And so when we think about our daily habits and what we use topically on our skin, it bioaccumulates over time. So maybe once in a while, our bodies are resilient and we will meet to that insult and learn to detoxify it and move on. But if we're using 15 to 20 products every day, and all of them have a host of 10, 20 ingredients that are known to be neurotoxins, endocrine disruptors, carcinogenic, we know that this is another big trigger exposure and factor that can lead to all sorts of the rise of illnesses that we see today. So I like to share, again, there's so much more awareness. I always love to still point to the environmental working group if you're concerned about an ingredient, or, a lot of the ingredients have to use the Latin nomenclature to explain, what the ingredient is. And it can look, scary, and sometimes it is, and sometimes it's just a Latin name for an herb. So it's a good way to familiarize yourself with the ingredients and make those decisions for yourself. So the environmental working group, they have a cosmetic database called Skin Deep that I still, think is a really great resource. But when you're looking at a label, because as you said, many products are still greenwashed, right? So you still, even if you're in a Whole Foods, you still have to do this due diligence, because again, things can slip through. And so, because again, regulation is a whole other topic, but this is not a very regulated industry. So a lot of things that consumers believe that are being looked at for their highest good is not. And so we have to be our own health detectives, our own advocates, and just information is power, right? And so when you look at the average, personal care product, if you want to just look for these, I boil it down to these three things, because it usually points you in the direction if you should go that next step and look at the other ingredients. So I first like to mention fragrance. So fragrance is a term used on the ingredient deck that is because of the proprietary nature of fragrance. Cosmetic and personal care products do not have to disclose the ingredients that make up that fragrance. And so fragrance can be a hidden term for over 200 ingredients. So that one name can actually be a house for 200 ingredients that are often, they have phthalates in that fragrance ingredient. Phthalates are used in plastics, but they also help to stabilize fragrance. Phthalates are known to be endocrine disruptors, so they affect our hormones and affect how we feel. And then there's also other, when you work with sensitive patients like myself, a lot of them are chemically sensitive. So they know, they're the canaries in the coal mine, right? So they're going to be the ones who can smell, the neurotoxin from, miles away. So yeah, we actually have a fragrance-free clinic because of how sensitive our patients are. So fragrance is a term that, again, some natural products will disclose and say this fragrance is made with, healthy essential oils. So if they're using that and it's proprietary, that's one step. But most often that's just a bucket term to hide a lot of ingredients that often my sensitive patients wouldn't tell you that it's not good for you, right? So that's the first one. And then, there's a lot of information about parabens out there still, but it's still surprising how they sneak into a lot of products still. So parabens are preservatives. They're typically at the end of the ingredient deck, and they're like methylparaben, propylparaben. They might have a prefix, but that paraben term, again, is something to avoid. Parabens tend to be, again, endocrine disruptors. That's the most research I've seen around that. they're actually, we work with a lab called US Biotech, and they do a environmental toxicant panel, and you can actually test your levels of phthalates and parabens and other persistent organic pollutants. So if you are really curious how your body's bioaccumulating these things, that there is information. And then the last one, just to again do a quick screen, I would say to look for the words PEG or PEG, because typically the PEG product ingredients are derived from petrochemicals. And so it's a petroleum-based ingredient, which not only has, an environmental issue, but also, an internal disruption as well. So that's kind of an overview of looking at ingredients. And again, just really respecting how what we put on our skin should be really, we should have that level of respect and scrutiny, that do we want that to be what we put on our skin? Do we want that in our bloodstream?
Such a good point. And I have a question then, since you see all of these patients who are so sensitive, when they change their skincare and remove this, do you see a big change in their health?
Yeah, they typically, by the time they come see me, they've had to, out of necessity, just, limit those exposures. But it's interesting what I see, Margie, is that when you're in a fragrance-free environment, it's almost like you've, like an elimination challenge diet, right? So when you've eliminated those fragrances that you might have just not noticed because your body's around them and you don't have that sensitivity. But even if you're not a chemically sensitive person and you go out of these, are not around these all the time, when you encounter them, like when you're in the Uber car, or you go into Nordstrom and you smell the perfume deck, it's amazing how I find not only myself but my colleagues and my team, you develop a very heightened sense of smell, and you can detect these things. It's almost like you don't know you're avoiding, you're sensitive to gluten and dairy, and then you do an elimination diet and then eat a pizza and you're doubled over. It's kind of that same thought process. So I do see that people feel better and healthier when they avoid these things.
It's so funny you're saying this, because I haven't used any chemicals for such a long time. And I've never even before I was a health coach or into any of this as a kid, I just was never a perfume person. I like essential oils, but I never tolerate perfume. But now, especially the fake things that go in the wall that have like a cinnamon, and they're supposed to, you go to an open house and it's supposed to make you feel homey. Oh, I feel awful. I just have to get as far away from possible, or any of those fake we had our car fixed. There was a problem with it, and they put one of those fake air fresheners in it. Oh, I had to detox from the air freshener. But you're so right that when you're away from that and then it's introduced, but I'm glad to hear that you've actually seen, because I tell people but because you work with this special population, that you really do see a difference when people eliminate the toxin.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, all great points.
And so what brought you then? So here you are, you're seeing people from all over the world, you're doing these amazing things. And then why did you decide to get involved with your own skincare products? Like, how did you make that transition? And why?
Yeah, thank you, Margie. So yeah, it's been, a goal and a dream of mine for many years. And, my work with chronic illness has shared with me the importance of ingredients and having clean, safe, results-oriented products. So, serving my patients. And then, part of the work that we do at our clinic, we also have a medical spa, and we have been working with non-toxic skincare that's results oriented for a long time. And so I just saw this opportunity to create a very clean line, but also a very healing line. So not only, avoiding toxicants, but also using this delivery system to heal and repair the body, like we would take supplements or herbs or nutrition. So we can use the skin and topicals as healing vehicles. So I felt like this is just, it was a wonderful opportunity, and that the work that we're doing with Lumvi, so the line's called Lumvi, which stands for Luminous Vitality. And so we have a core group of skincare ingredients, and then we're branching out into lymphatic line, because I know the importance of lymphatic health for overall wellness and also for skin health. So I'm happy to share whatever you want to learn about the line.
Yeah, well, let's talk about it, because I've been using it. I have to say, I've been using three things. I brought them to show you the ones I've been using. I've been using the serum, the ageless serum, which is, I'm very I can use anything that helps reduce aging. And then also the cleanse, the herbal cleanse, which smells like you're in the forest altogether.
Mm,
I feel it
yeah,
transforms me to the forest. And
mm,
then this is the most amazing, I think, the stem cell
mm.
cream. It's just really the most moisturizing thing I've ever had in terms of my skin. So why don't you tell us what product, what I guess you can start with what's important in the serum, or if you want to go through all three of them, what's the
Yeah,
key
yeah,
thing that makes
yeah.
them so
Mhm,
important and really, and because we want to look good. I mean, to be
mhm,
happy, we want to feel good in the inside, but all of us want to look good too. And I think the really, really good news about this is not like, oh no, I can't use the best product that makes me look good, is that when I switched, which was a long time ago, and I did things
mhm,
slowly, when I got rid of one toxin after the other, because you don't want to feel overwhelmed, like, oh my God, I just have to throw out my whole house. But
mhm,
but when
mhm.
you do, when you substitute, these things are better and you look better and you feel better. It's just such a win-win. I think that's why I want to do so much on this, because it's easy for people to do. We're not, they're already cleansing their skin, they're already putting on moisturizer. But when you make a substitution, it's amazing. So why don't you tell us about, and I'd like to hear what's so special. I mean, I understand, but we can just go in a little depth into this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Margie. So, and I like how you preface this, and I think with obviously your dedication and passion for happiness, skincare can create so much happiness in our life, and we can create rituals that really help us to feel good. And I feel that Lumvi, when you're using your products, it's almost like you're doing a ritual, not only that you know that's healthy for your skin and helping your skin to look good, but it's almost like helping shift your energy for the day, that you can kind of really prepare for your day, either in the beginning or the end of the day. And really, when I use the products, I just really feel better because of how they're prepared. And so we work with an herbalist out of Colorado, and we are really intentional about the ingredients that we use. So again, we're using organic ingredients, and then we're also using something called wild crafted ingredients. So some of the ingredients might not technically be organic, but they're almost cleaner than organic, because organic, again, like anything in our society, it's a label with a lot of regulations and doesn't always mean the fullest extent of what we want to bring to people. And so we use also wild crafted ingredients, where the herbalist actually goes and collects wild herbs in the Rocky Mountains, and so and uses them as part of the preparation. So they're very and when we get these organic and wild crafted ingredients, there's something about what I've seen in my herbal medicine knowledge, that it's not just about the herb itself, but we can get the highest quality and the highest extraction process of the herb if we're intentional about the processing of this. So there's ways to actually cultivate getting the most of the herb by using these really intentional herbal cultivation practices. So not to sound too woo, but we do things like there's music going on with the plants, and there's sacred geometry on, the oil extractions. And so there's a very intentional process to amplify the energetics of the extraction process. So you're not only getting high quality ingredients, but you're getting this whole other aspect to amplify the most potent aspects of the plants, if that makes sense. And so,
Wow,
yeah,
that's, I had no idea.
yeah. So I
This
know.
is so
Figured we could talk
interesting.
about it on, on the happiness challenge. So, but take it or leave that, whatever you're, wherever
Oh
you
no,
are.
no, I'm actually funny you're saying that, because I'm a
Yeah.
person that I love nature and I feel
Mhm.
the nature, just hold a tree or get near a tree and the
Mhm.
energy is incredible. So I'm a big believer in that there is energetic. So I'm loving this,
Yeah.
what you're saying. So no, you're speaking to the right person.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Because
And
it's so fascinating
yeah.
that, and look how nice that you found a company that will do that to really
Mhm.
get the energetics also. Wow, loving
Yeah, we have a
that.
very personal relationship with the herbalist I've known for 15 years or so. So it's just everything, worked out for us to, come together to create these products. And so, so that's really kind of the magic, if you will, behind the ingredients. And then we use, again, with the botanical knowledge and, my knowledge as well, for the serums. If you look, I think do you have the Renew serum, or which?
I have the Renew, yes,
No, okay, so
rejuvenate, ageless. That's what I
yeah,
want,
perfect.
ageless, yes.
Right? Sign me up, right? So if you look at the Renew, there's number of herbs in that ingredient deck. So I won't kind of share all of the herbs, but they're intentional herbs that are going to help to stimulate collagen, which is a huge part of the scaffolding of our skin. Collagen, we know is really important for anti-aging. I'll talk about collagen in a moment when we talk about lymph and kind of a little bit of our take
Great.
on that. But collagen, elastin, the water content in the skin. So we're trying to really build that and using very hydrating oils that are going to help not only with the protective barrier, but again, just again, keep that space that makes us look glowy, nice and plump and full. So that, is kind of the theory behind the Renew formulation. And I'd love to share about the Luminate because that's one of our most popular products. And it, again, as you said, it feels really nice, we think as well. And, I love it. And, there's a couple key concepts in the serum, in this Luminate cream. Again, we call it a stem cell cream. We're using Swiss apple stem cells. So we're using basically stem cells from the Swiss apple tree. And these stem cells have been shown to actually help heal and repair our skin at a faster rate. So they're very healing. And again, thinking about wrinkles and age spots and hyperpigmentation, the Swiss apple stem cells can be very helpful for repairing and renewing the skin. And then we also use, I don't know if your audience knows about peptides, but peptides are these strings of amino acids. We actually use them a lot in chronic illness as injectables. Peptides can help us heal and repair. And there's actually three specific peptides. They have sciencey names, so I won't bore you with that, but it's three peptides in the cream that are really targeted to firm and tighten and build collagen in the skin. So again, it's going to help instead of having that, Botox look where everything is just in place and doesn't move. We're getting that structure and that firmness and elasticity and beauty in the skin, but you still get to, look and, look your best self. So the Swiss apple stem cells, the peptide blend. And then of course there are many herbs, and then there's also hyaluronic acid to help the skin just feel really nourished and glowy. So that's a really fun product that a lot of people love, and I'm glad you do as well.
And what's giving it the moisture? That's I think I couldn't get over, because when you wake up the next day, sometimes my house can be quite dry. And there's so much moisture in this cream. I mean, my skin just feels so moist in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what causes the extra moisture? Is there something special?
It's the hyaluronic acid. So it's hyaluronic acid. And then, when we have, the herbs and the hyaluronic acid and also the oils, we actually draw water in the right places into our skin. So, it helps us to have fullness in that extracellular matrix, and that water content in our skin is hydrated, so we look and feel the way you're sharing.
Oh, that's great. And the color, it's really pretty. It's like this. I'll open it because it's a very pretty color. It's
I
like
know I know it's a combination of the herbs. So there's not one ingredient particular that
yeah.
like a dye or anything, but it's the combination. Again, if you see Margie, like there's like 40 ingredients, right? And eliminates the combination. But it's a great question. And we use, of course, coconut oil and olive oil derivatives and things like that to help be the base of the cream.
Well, thank you, because it's really great. So I've been very impressed. I really, really like it. So let's talk about the lymph then, because that's very important, and that's not something that most people even realize that they can have control over. So
the lymphatic system I talk about a lot in my world of chronic illness, and I feel like it's really one of the most overlooked systems in the body. The lymphatic system has a huge role in detoxification, also in our immune system. But when we think about skin health, when we think about the lymph, so we have our circulatory system, right? And so our our whole body is obviously filled with our network of circulation, and our blood goes through what we call arteries that eventually make its way to the capillaries and in our tissue spaces, right? And so we're bringing oxygen-rich blood to those areas. And then when we're in the capillary space, actually lymph leaves the blood and there's a visual I have in my head that, I wish I could put up here, but so basically this lymph is moving, and where this lymph moves is along what we call the extracellular matrix. And the extracellular matrix is the space in between our cells. And the extracellular matrix has these key with skin health ingredients. Collagen is our most abundant protein in our body. It's not only a structural protein, but it's actually a communication protein as well. We know that that collagen is light conductive. It's also a superconductor for electrons, so it's actually helping to transmit energy. So you're doing yourself a service when you have healthy collagen. It's not only to look and feel good, but it's actually helping to improve communication in your body. And then we also have in the extracellular matrix hyaluronic acid. So that's that water content, holding molecule in the extracellular matrix. Elastin, we have fibroblasts, we have immune cells. So that lymph kind of bathes all of those key molecules that really help us to look good. And then we remove waste, and then that gets drained into the lymphatic system. And so our skin health is tied very strongly into the health of how well our lymph is flowing. And because our lymph system is not our circulatory system, it doesn't have a pump. So we have to actually use movement. So walking and rebounders and vibration plates. And there's all these facial devices like Gua Sha. I'm not at the right desk, but I have my desk at home. I have this lymphatic gemstone that it helps to drain the lymph in your face. And so there are all these wonderful tools. And then we thought it would be really fun. Our first product in our lymph line is called a Lymphogem, and it's an oil infusion. So it has herbs that are extracted in oil, and it has a couple of my favorite key, herbs for the lymphatic system. So it has red root and calendula and cleavers and nettles and red clover. So these are all traditional herbs that are really wonderful for moving lymph. And then 3 essential oils. So it smells good. So it has frankincense, geranium, and heliochrysum as well. So those are all essential oils that are known to move the lymph. So it comes in this little roller. I've been playing with mine, and you can just put it wherever you want, but I put it on my neck because that's a good drainage point for our skin. And it smells good as well. So this is like, again, happiness, right? So this is something that you can carry around with you. And then, I feel really great because not only will people have beautiful skin by moving their lymph, but you also have a healthy body. I mean, getting the lymph to drain in your face actually helps the lymph drain better in your brain, right? So by treating your lymph in your face, you're actually helping, preserve your brain health as well.
Do you see that as a problem? Like the patients that you see, is stagnant lymph a
Yeah.
problem that you see? And how would that
Patient.
manifest? Like how, if someone's listening, how would they know that they may have an issue with lymph other than swollen feet or something?
And that's why I think it's most commonly overlooked, Margie, because when we think about the lymph system, most people think lymphedema, or someone's had a surgical procedure and then they have lymph nodes taken out and then they have this huge swelling and edema. And of course, that's a manifestation of lymph stagnation, but there's all these other subtle symptoms that people don't understand that could be tied into stagnation in their lymph. And to answer your question, I would say 100% of my patients, when they come to see me, have stagnation in their lymphatic system. So it's a really rewarding system to treat. So brain fog, headaches, migraines, depression, anxiety, insomnia, chronic sinus issues, allergies, even acne can be related to stagnation in the lymph system. Cellulite, weight gain, especially in the abdomen, can be lymph stagnation, swelling. So again, a lot of symptoms. Again, a lot of things are multifactorial, but it's amazing once you get the lymphatic system moving, how much better people feel.
Wow, because I'm big into the lymph as a physical therapist. But
Yes.
so you're saying we can do movement, we can do all those other things, and then just use this on our lymph nodes?
So because we can treat the lymph through our skin. So when you think about that picture that I was sharing with you of the extracellular matrix, when we think about our skin, we have our dermis, and then it was actually newly discovered, this they call it the interstitium. So the interstitium is underneath our dermis. So we apply things on our skin, it gets absorbed, goes through those 7 layers of skin, and then they used to think there was just this kind of like dense connective tissue that just kind of was this wall. But what they're finding is that this is actually a fluid filled space that they call the interstitium, and this fluid filled space is a interconnected network. So when you have things absorbed through your skin, through the interstitium. It travels in this body-wide water system in the body, and it also then drains into the lymph system, which then that's the mechanism. That's where we're trying to move the lymph, and so we can treat our lymph via the skin.
That's amazing. And
Mhm.
how long would it take for someone to know, let's say they start using this, how long would it take for someone to start noticing a difference? If they're,
Yeah.
let's say they have the brain fog or just any of their symptoms,
Mhm.
how long
Yeah.
does it take, would you say, for some?
Yeah, sure. So it all depends. I've gotten feedback that people immediately, right, feel some shift or some, lightness in their body. If you have a lot of chronic health issues and you've had a lot of lymph stagnation, it can take time. So you just want to make this a daily ritual and a daily practice. If you have a lot of other underlying issues and you have lymph stagnation, one caveat is that sometimes when people move, their lymph system, they can sometimes feel like a little flu-like in the beginning. I wouldn't say that this oil will do that, but I just want to share with the listeners, if you get a lymphatic drainage massage or all of a sudden get really inspired and get a vibration plate and you move your lymph and then you feel a little worse afterwards, that just is actually a sign that you really need to move your lymph. And then, but just to backpedal, you don't have to feel worse to get better, but you need more immune support or detoxification support, like binders and so forth, to help you navigate once you get the system moving, how the body can facilitate clearance and for you to feel better.
Oh, that's great. So if they have issues, they just need to look at your website because you're the detox queen
Oh,
and
thank
you
you.
have so many good resources.
Oh, thank
So
you.
the other thing I wanted to talk about, since this is the happiness challenge, is to let people know, what have you seen? Because toxins can cause depression and unhappiness. And I don't think people realize that if they're feeling anxious and they're just feeling unhappy and depressed. And yes, there's all sorts of reasons, but sometimes it could also be the toxins. So
Mhm.
maybe you could just shed a little light on that, because we want to
Yeah,
be as happy as we can. So if this is something that,
totally. Yeah, most of my patients have some mental health expression, right? So they might have depression, anxiety, insomnia. They might even be labeled with bipolar or some type of, obsessive compulsive disorder. So we really see, and I think, what I really would like to see in the longevity of my career is really our understanding of mental health really transform and transition to look at neuroinflammation and what's creating neuroinflammation. Of course, there's situational, factors, there's all sorts of, things. It's not, it's not just one thing, it's multifactorial, but for the purpose of, your question, I absolutely see the role of environmental toxicants and also pathogens that can inflame the brain and create a downstream imbalance in neurotransmitters, and people can feel really not themselves. It's their illness, it's not them. And so we work on uncovering what those are and then really opening the lymph system in the brain to help those be eliminated. And then, the things that, again, we also like to educate is how do you avoid exposure? So again, the personal care ingredients, and then heavy metals, which we've talked about a lot. Aluminum is something that we're all overexposed to. It's in a lot of our personal care products, our food, our water. It's in some medications and vaccines. And we've seen that aluminum can be really high in brains with Alzheimer's and dementia and autism. So they've studied the role of aluminum on our brain and how that can affect a lot of cognitive impairment, and that can translate into depression and anxiety. So not only aluminum, but lead, mercury. There's also other pathogens. We treat a lot of Lyme and co-infections that can affect the brain, viral infections. Also, if people are in a moldy home, that can affect neuroinflammation, parasitic infections in some cases. So just there's a lot of reasons. So if you're suffering out there, please, find somebody who can help you look at all these angles, and then tying it back to the lymph, helping to open up the lymphatic system in your brain, which happens when we sleep, can really be one route to reducing that toxicity in your brain so you can feel yourself again.
wow. So there's really no negative, no downside for anyone to try this lymph product.
Oh yeah. No, that I mean, of course, everyone look at the ingredients and make sure it's right for you. But yeah, it's very gentle. I work with a lot of different lymphatic, topicals and herbals, and and also therapists and different equipment. So find what works for you. But I think lymph health is not only the key to radiant skin, but it's really the key to feeling your best.
That's so great. So before we end, is there anything that you want to share? Because I really want to give people, I really wanted to talk about the skin and how it's so important because it's so overlooked. And I think, as I said, we want to feel good, but we also want to be healthy because health is tied to happiness. And that's why I'm having these guest experts come on, because I so believe that we can do all this great happiness stuff that we're doing, but we want to take care of our underlying health. So is there any, you've shared so much, but is there, and I know we could talk 10 hours, I believe, because you're a wealth of information. But I think it's important to highlight that if you are just feeling depressed and you don't know what's going on, to dig deeper and find someone to work with and really see if there are toxins or heavy metals or there's something going on besides changing your products and doing healthy things, and not letting toxins in, then this to dig deeper and see what may be the cause. So is there anything else that you want to share with everybody that you think impacts happiness before we end?
Oh, well, Margie, no, I think this was, we covered a lot and I really appreciate the opportunity. And I echo that if you're out there and you're not feeling how you want to feel, like please look for a provider who can get to the root cause. And yeah, the skin is just such a wonderful way to, not only eliminate, but also use it as a vehicle for nourishment, health and vitality. And I do feel when we can radiate health, we also, that translates into our own happiness. And something just to share another pearl. One thing that I've tried to do every day, but I don't make it every day, is just to reflect on gratitude every day. And I try to, write 3 things I'm grateful for every day. And it's amazing how that can just invite more happiness and gratitude in your life. So yeah, that's another little pearl of wisdom I've developed from years of listening to all sorts of people and how to cultivate my own happiness. And that one has stuck over the years. It's a really wonderful way to start the day.
Oh, thanks so much for sharing the gratitude. Well, I'm so grateful for you. And it's so kind that the company's offering a 10% discount to everybody. So
Yeah.
that will be under the interview. You can just find out more about that there. And if people wanted to learn more about your clinic and your work, and
Mm.
we'll
Yeah.
have that, just go to your website. Is that the best place?
Yeah. I have a website, drchristineschaffner.com, and that's probably the best way to find out what I'm doing and what I'm up to. And I really appreciate your invitation on this happiness challenge.
Oh, well, thank you, because we all want to look good. And I'm grateful because I'm really loving these products. But,
You look
we
great.
all, thank you. But we all want to look good. We all want to feel good. And we want to be doing healthy things for our bodies. So, and thank you, Chris. You've done so much work. You've done so much. It's not like it just happened. You've studied and and I think one of your missions is helping people because especially, you deal with people that can't find help other places. So I just want to commend you on all the work that you've done and really spreading the word on so many things that will really contribute to overall health and happiness. So thank you for your work in the world. And I love your gratitude habit. I think that's fantastic. So thanks for sharing that. And thank you again for being with all of us and look forward to keeping in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you, Margie.
I hope you've enjoyed this interview with Dr. Christine and now have some new information that you can put into your life to not only look amazing, but feel fabulous as well. All the links will be in the show notes, and make sure to use the coupon code HAPPY for a 10% discount on her incredible products. So bye for now, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.